Hello and welcome to Painless Universal, a conversation with myself and Welsh. Today I'll be talking about entrepreneurial pain. I'll be talking to someone who's been through it himself, who had businesses that failed, and that didn't stop him from being successful. He's he's a successful entrepreneur who does businesses, but has seen and understand firsthand from his own mistakes. Businesses today are either thriving or not doing well. It depends what sector you are in. Many people are suffering from the effect of the pandemic, which the coronavirus has caused. It's caused many businesses to shut down. Many entrepreneurs with great ideas who just probably started their businesses this year, to see the business having to close. But one thing my guest will be talking to me about is how you could turn this pain to joy and keep finding things that really inspire you. Simon is an entrepreneur, angel investor, mentor, podcast host, founder. He started 17 companies, invested in over 60 startups, and has mentored hundreds of founders. Having sold his award-winning brand and digital agency, Flood, to PwC, Simon now focuses on inspiring, motivating, and guiding both body and experienced entrepreneurs by shaping his personal experiences, insights, ideas, and tips. Part entrepreneur, he describes himself as, and part student. Meet Simon. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Painless Universal, conversation with myself and Welsh. As I previously said in my introduction, we're talking about entrepreneurship pain. Simon here, who's been through it himself, and will be telling us about how he's overcome that challenges of being an entrepreneur, but going on to, achieve many great success. Simon, thank you so much for joining me today. It's really a delight. I didn't have the introduction where I told him a very great background about your story, because I think it's really amazing what you've been through and what you've achieved with going through failures, but learning from that, which many people are not very good at. I think if you look around the world, people fail and just give up and just not want to do anymore. But I think before we dive into it, you were always the best person to tell us a little bit more about yourself. Could you please tell me, who is Simon?
Sure. Well, I'll give you the CV version and then I'll tell you the truth. So I started out at 15 years old. I built 17 companies from scratch. 13 of those companies I started without any money at all. I've invested in 68 startups in my career. I lived in Hong Kong for 20 years, and basically I'm an entrepreneur. And I didn't know I was an entrepreneur until something dramatic happened to me at 15 years old, which woke a part of my brain up that is the entrepreneurial muscle, and I became an entrepreneur. I've always enjoyed building businesses that have a purpose. I believe purpose is not a word used enough in the reason for a business to exist. And I'm a big believer that with purpose, and I've seen it in the investments that I've made, if a business has purpose, people follow through and they become successful in more ways than just making money, which I think is important. So many people got caught up in a business is successful or a failure based on the financials of the business, but there are so many other things that link to the success of a business, in my view. So yeah, today that's my top line story. I'm a serial entrepreneur. My last company, Fluid and Nest, I sold Fluid to PwC, the accounts company, in 2016 for more money than I'll ever need. I then moved from Hong Kong back to North London, where I live today. Had a little baby boy, and now I'm a very present father. And I just started a new platform called the Purposeful Project. And it's basically designed to help people who are unemployed right now, or coming out of university and can't find a job, create a job for themselves, create a business for themselves. I believe entrepreneurship helped me find who I am and give me freedom. And I want other people to have that opportunity. I believe no one is born anything. This whole thing, you have to be born an entrepreneur. Absolute rubbish. No one's born a doctor. No one's born a lawyer. We all need to be trained to be anything. So to be an entrepreneur, we all are entrepreneurs when we're born, and we're all artists when we're born. And it's just a question of application and style. So I'm on a mission today to help 1 million people start a business of their own. and we're about 62 people in. And we're here basically offering free advice. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. We're here trying to help you find your purpose in life. That's my present role.
Well, Simon, that is absolutely much needed right now, especially with everything going on today. But obviously, you didn't just start off this way. Something triggered your mind and started when you started your first business. Can you tell me about how you started, what your first business, and what was something painful experience you learned from that?
Yeah, it's true. I think I do believe that pain brings power.
Mm.
And I think, of course, pain can also break you. But if you can leverage pain, I think it can be an amazing thing. So when I was 15 years old, my father suddenly died of a heart attack right in front of me. He was 56 years old. And up to that point, I guess my life was pretty much predetermined in many respects. My parents were both telling me I was going to be a lawyer. So I kept saying to people when they asked me what I want to be when I grow up, I say a lawyer. But no kid really wants to grow up to be a lawyer. So I'd been kind of somewhat brainwashed by my parents. And I was going to go to Cambridge University, and this whole plan had been kind of mapped out for me. And then when my father died, of course, it was incredibly sad. And something happened in my brain where I started analyzing, how did this happen? How did someone die so young? Why has this happened to my father? And I came to a couple of maybe odd conclusions at the time. But one of the conclusions I came to was that my father had started being self-employed too late in life. And he had a mortgage, he had a lot of debt, he had 4 kids. I was one of those kids. He had a very demanding wife, my mother. And he started a business during that kind of whirlwind of life. And I think in part, debt and that life management killed him. And so I drew a conclusion that I should start my own business as young as possible, giving me more time to not repeat history, because I think history repeats itself. I think I love history, and I think history, if you actually look at it, every 100 years it seems to repeat itself. And so a lot of a lot of children that go through certain difficulties in their lives end up having the same experiences later on in their lives. For me, I didn't want to follow my father's path exactly. I wanted to do something different. And one of the things I decided I should do different was start my business young. So I told my mother I'm going to start my business. I didn't want to go to university. In fact, I'd like to drop out of school. And my mother said, it's my rules or you get out. So I said, I'll get out. And she kicked me out to teach me a lesson. And I was homeless for 5 days. It didn't teach me the lesson she was hoping for. A second element of pain, I guess, that was good. I didn't want to follow what my mother wanted me to do. So I refused to go home. I'd rather sleep on the street. I slept on a roundabout one night. I'd rather sleep on a roundabout in a park while it's raining in England than go back and follow the path my mother wanted me to follow. And I, after a few days of being homeless, I realized, of course, that, I need to find a way to make a living. And so this is where the entrepreneurial muscle woke up in my head. From all this pain, something amazing happened. I was living in Cambridge, and I was walking past this massive house in Cambridge, and the garden was really messy. And I thought to myself, logically, that didn't make sense. Why would you have this beautiful house and a really messy garden? So I thought to myself, why don't I go see if that person who owns that massive house would like me to take care of their garden? So I rocked up to the front door and I knocked on the door, and the guy answered, and I said, hi, my name's Simon Squibb. I've got a gardening company and I wondered, would you like me to take care of your garden? And the guy looked at me up and down, probably realizing, what is this 15-year-old doing? And I think he must have took pity on me, because he said, yeah, sure, actually, I have been thinking of getting some help. So yeah, maybe you could help me. I was like, great. It's like, well, how much will you charge me? So I said to him, I don't know, £200 a month. And he said, sure. I was kind of shocked. I said, right, I'll start next Saturday, and kind of walked away. And as I walked down the driveway, I thought, wow, I mean, if there's one person that needs this, maybe there's others. So I knocked on over 100 houses this Saturday, and I managed to get 11 people to say yes to me being their gardening company. I had no registered company, no brochure, of course, no website back in those days, nothing. Except a sincere look on my face, clearly, and a desire to earn a living. And I basically got home that night really proud of myself that I got 11 people to say yes, thinking it was £2,500 potential income. And only to someone burst my bubble in this squat I ended up living in, and said, "We don't have any equipment, Simon. So how are you gonna do the gardens?" And it was a really good point. So I had this brainwave the following day, and I went back to all 11 houses, and I had this little rubbish contract that said what I was going to do. And at the end of the contract, I said I needed 50% deposit. And to my surprise, all 11 people gave me the cash, 50% deposit. And with that cash, that same day, I went and bought the lawnmower equipment that I needed, the basics. And by the following week, I was actually starting to do the gardens. As I started to do the gardens, I had the idea of doing 3 gardens in one day, thinking I had 11 contracts, I could do them all in a week. I realized I couldn't even finish one in one day. I completely underestimated the amount of work involved. And that's this point, I went back to the squat I was living in and said to all the people in the squat who all broke, would you like some part-time work helping me take care of these gardens? Next thing you know, 4 weeks from the time I started, I've got 5 people working for me. I've got 20 contracts taking care of people's gardens. I've got an up and running business. And that's how I started. And frankly, I never looked back. I just love this whole idea from that moment until now that you can have an idea in your head and you can make it physically real. And nothing more exciting than being able to manifest that reality in that way. So, yeah.
Wow, that is an awesome story. I wish people of this generation could think of something that like this and just go up with it. I think almost now kids are almost locked up or locked in games and stuff. But this is an amazing story. But you went on to some of the businesses failed as you started this doing businesses. What were some of the lessons you learned from the failed businesses?
Yeah, I've had so many failures. I always say that my successes, and I've had some big successes, luckily, I can actually put it all down to luck, the success. But the failure, I always know where it went wrong.
Oh,
And
okay.
I always know, I always can grasp what I could do better in the next venture based on the failed venture. Plus, the other thing I really have loved about my failures is that sometimes what I thought was bad news ended up being good news. So, for example, one of my failures, I started a comic book business called Devashard. And one of the things about this comic book business I loved, it was kind of a cultural play in many respects. We had this idea, what if Superman landed in China and not in America? People's instant perception is, oh, wouldn't Superman be evil? Quite interesting when you pitch it to people in Europe. And then, what if Batman was born in Russia? What would happen? And we started out with one story which was called the Mahabharata, which is a very famous story in India, where gods lived on the earth 6,000 years ago and had babies with humans. And anyway, we launched it. I've still got the product there. Absolutely love it. I spent $1 million launching this business, and everyone loved it in the comic book world. And we got a deal to make it into a movie. This is where you make real money in comic book world. And then we got in talks with NBC Universal, and this is 10 years ago. Harvey Weinstein. We got talking to him. Anyway, long story short, we thought we had a movie deal with Harvey Weinstein and with these NBC Universal potentially. We had them kind of playing off each other a little bit. And we started spending like we had a movie deal and growing the brand. And then suddenly the deal fell apart. And one reason or another, we never got the comic book made into a movie. By that point, we'd overspent thinking that was going to happen, and the business collapsed. But I look back, we failed, but I look back at that business. There's a couple of things. First of all, I'm still proud of the product. I hold it in my hand and I'm proud of it. We did something really cool. And second is, I'm glad I'm not in business with Harvey Weinstein today. At the time, I was devastated. But now I look back and realize, that was lucky. I wouldn't have wanted to have made my fortune by working with someone like that.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that it didn't work, but I wasn't feeling that at the time. But bad luck at the time ends up being good luck later.
I like the way you look at it because I think it's so important to. At the time, it's true. You never see the positive side. You just see all you see is the disaster, the missed opportunity. But time, years and years, and they said time is a great healer, and it's a matter of time that you just start realizing why that didn't happen and how that was such a blessing to you. But
Yeah.
you went on to get some great success with selling your brand to PwC. How do you explain to an entrepreneur what that really, really felt like? To just, I know you've done other success, but this one was also a great one for you. How does it feel as an entrepreneur to have that great success, that someone actually believed in your brand to want to buy it?
Yeah, I mean, when I sold my company to PwC, it's kind of a bittersweet thing. You know, of course, it's nice when a big company wants to buy your business. It does feel like validation, I guess. I guess it's also an element of, you know, you built something up. I mean, PwC would never have given me a job at 15. I don't have a degree. I don't have what the pedigree in their minds, right? So there's something really satisfying about, you know, they never give you a job, but they pay you millions
Well,
and millions and
yeah,
millions of pounds
yeah.
for your business,
Yeah,
which,
for you to
yeah.
be out there and, you know, invent something that works for them eventually, and
Yeah.
they feel like they take it on.
But one of the reasons I think I was able to sell it for so much money, and the reason it was successful in part, was because I didn't want to sell it. I didn't need to sell it. And you know, in a business deal, there's three elements to every business deal, right? I mean, they kind of need each other bit. It's very important. And I think that who needed who. In the end, I was happy to sell the business, but there was also a part of me that sold, I guess, almost like one of your children, in a bizarre kind of negative view on it. It's a, you know, I love that company. I love the people that worked in the company. I love the things that we achieved in that business. And so part of me didn't want to sell it. I think that that was one of the reasons, as I said, that we got a good deal, but it was also one of the downsides to when it was actually sold. Because, you know, when people ask you, what do you do? And you say, I'm rich. Okay. But if someone says, well, I built this company, and people say, I know that company, you helped my friend do X, Y, and Z, and they did really well. And, you know, you have context.
Yes.
That's really important. And I know it's really cheesy when people, you know, like, money doesn't make you happy. And, you know, when people haven't got money, they're like, easy for you to say that, you know, I don't have money. I never had, when I didn't have money, I was actually still happy. So I always say to people, money only makes you happy if you're already happy.
Yes.
And so I think for a lot of people, when they hear that, oh, you know, you made money, that must have been great.
Yeah.
You know, my pushback to people that are thinking about building a business to sell it is, you'll be miserable. But if you focus on that, you know, you should build a business because you love it, and maybe you sell it because you one day you decide you will.
Yeah.
But don't build a business to sell it, because you might get trapped in that business first of all and be unhappy because you don't sell it. Or your value won't be as high, because you'll be, you know, it's like when you go and sell something to someone, buy this, and they're like, well, maybe, I guess if it's cheap, I'll buy it if it's cheap, you know. Whereas if you're saying, I love this business, it's not for sale, and they're like, well, and we think we can do amazing things with this business, can we partner up at least, you know? And
Yeah.
then that's what happened with PwC. We partnered up, and like, oh, this is really amazing, maybe we should buy you, you know. Nah, let's just partner up, you know. And it's interesting how that, you know. But your question, you know, what would I tell an entrepreneur? I'd probably tell them to enjoy the journey.
Yes.
Don't focus too much on the end conclusion. I look back, not my most exciting moment was not getting the money from PwC for that company. My most exciting moments were the times that we did great things in that business, and we had fun, and I can remember laughter, and I can remember, you know, wonderful people doing wonderful things for each other. And so, you know, the money is almost like, yeah, it may be in my top 50, but it's not even in the top 10.
Oh, that's it. That's really good, because I think there's something we always tend to forget: the joy. We always look for the end goal, which is the money, 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 which sometimes not, it's not always that, because sometimes your business could fail as well. But
Mm,
I love what I was watching your videos, and you talk about investing in yourself.
mm,
You said it's a very important thing, and a lot of us forget about ourselves, especially the black. You've seen so many Black Fridays where people rush to go buy things like socks, and just you say any little money they have, they're rushing out to buy things.
mm.
Why is it investing in yourself so important?
Yeah, well, I get a lot of people approaching me, and they say, what should I invest in, Simon? They've got $1,000, $5,000. They've managed to save up some money. What should I invest in? And I just feel like it's so easy to think that you can get rich by externally investing. So I buy Tesla stock and then sit back, and hopefully Elon Musk makes it all work. You know, Elon Musk himself says he only invested in his own businesses. That tells you something, right? I think a lot of people don't think first to themselves, do I enjoy what I do every day?
Mm.
So the first thing I tell people when they say I've got 5,000 US dollars to invest is, do you enjoy what you do every day? Because if you don't, use that money to figure out how you can enjoy your day your day, because that is the most valuable thing you have, time. And if you're not enjoying, most people I get rebuttal, they hate their job, they've made some savings, and the reason they want to invest this money is they want out of their job that they hate.
Mm.
But my idea is, well, okay, if you've got 5,000 US dollars, maybe that's 3 months off your job. So you can go and figure out what it is you're really meant to do. Maybe you can quit that job you don't love and go find something you do love. You know, invest that money in research to find out what you're about. You know, go learn some stuff about who you are. So many people just continue, oh, maybe if I just invest this money, I make some money, then I'll be happy.
Yes.
As opposed to thinking, how can I invest in me to be happy?
And that's
So
difficult.
yeah, that's my message to people, you know, when it comes to, you know, investing in yourself. It's like you've got to find ways
Mm.
to figure out what it is that makes you happy, and that means investing in you first. If you've got that, then then fine, you can externally invest.
Mm.
But I think at first you've got to internally invest if you're not quite sure about you know, don't know what you love yet, or you don't enjoy what you're doing right now. That is the biggest, saddest thing I think for anyone to be putting themselves through, not enjoying their day to day.
I really have to ask you because so many students are coming out of university and struggling with not being able to get jobs. So they're thinking of going on the entrepreneurship route. And also that is also difficult because, you know, to do that, you need capital, you need mentors, and you're taking on this challenge of helping 100,000 people, or 100,000, right?
A million.
1 million people to, you're helping them to get the advice they need, the help and the tool they need. Why did you take on this challenge to really know, help people?
Well, I think initially I thought about getting into politics. I thought about getting into government.
Good. I think you'd be a good one.
Yeah, but then I looked at it, and what I don't like about politics, and there's quite a lot of things I don't like about politics, but one of the things I don't like is that there's this kind of like what you have to say to get elected.
Mm.
And I think, you know, I am, I'm a hustler, but I'm not a liar. You know, and I don't like the whole idea that, you know, and I see it in today's governments, they say one thing and then do another. So I felt like actually that wasn't an environment I could work in. But then I thought to myself, what can I do? What can I do to help people out there? And I do see that the government, the UK government for sure, they have completely dropped the ball when it comes to helping entrepreneurship in this country. You know, all of the schemes that are built up right now around COVID are pretty much, you know, I call them zombie jobs. You know, there's, and without getting political, because I know this isn't a political show, but you know, there is a whole, you know, process out there right now around keeping people employed in companies that wouldn't otherwise have employed them. It is a zombie mode. Instead of investing that money in retooling those people to perhaps start something of their own, and hire people for the next generation of unemployed. You know, instead of going and waiting after furlough, will that job still be there? Instead saying, here's we'll give you some financial support, universal income, whatever, you know, we'll give you some support to then start something of your own, or get involved in someone else's startup to create the next generation economy. And so I felt like I could build something that hopefully that works, that eventually governments could copy as a model
Mm.
to help people get out from unemployment, so we don't lose a generation, which is very likely under COVID right now, or people that had good businesses before being wiped out, bringing them back through innovation. And I feel like if the government won't do it because they've got other priorities, or they don't know how to do it, I felt I could build a system at scale that would do it. And maybe eventually the government would wake up once it's working and maybe back what we're doing, or do it themselves and take us over.
Yes. Simon, I love this, but I have to ask you a final question before I let you go. It's really about the entrepreneurs. People are out there. They're looking at you and looking at everything you've achieved, and they're really, you know, yeah, I read your profile. I was amazed by what you've done, and had never let anything defeat you by saying, okay, this has happened to me, but I'm still going to keep going. How do you stay focused in a world so unpredictable right now? How do you encourage young people to stay focused and keep giving it and keep trying and keep trying again to
Mm.
be that person they need to be, or to be that winning person they're looking out to be?
I think the key to focus is purpose. In the 68 businesses that I've invested in, the people that had purpose in their businesses followed through. They went through the pain, they pushed through the difficult times because it was something bigger than themselves. I think a lot of people, when they're, trying to make a living, if they think it's just about the money, there's days when they care about money and there's days that they don't. There's days that they'll make nothing and there's days that they'll make money. The days that make nothing deflate them. If it's all about the money, it's why I hate stocks and shares, for example, because one day you're happy, one day you're not, and actually nothing's changed other than what it says on the computer screen. And you spend all day staring at a computer screen waiting for the numbers to go up and down. Right. So I kind of feel like purpose is the thing that if you can build that into your business, into your existence, into your day to day, that motivates you. Like I'm motivated right now because I know I can make a difference in people's lives that don't have a job right now or struggling in their businesses. I don't need to go to work. I can go to Bali right now and hang out at the beach. I can do that. But I feel like I have purpose. And purpose drives me to do something bigger than me. And I really think if people can, I know it's a hard thing, what is your purpose? And sometimes initially it can be just survival. I can understand that as a core initial purpose. But if people can figure out what the purpose of their business is, it will drive them to work harder in that business and they won't let anything stop them.
Wow. I love that. And I think one of the things I take away from is that you might be going through pain, but still find your purpose. And that will help you overcome the pain you're going through.
Maybe even the pain helps you find your purpose.
That's true.
Pain is good.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Simon Squibb, for this amazing conversation. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you.